And sticking with tech, let's talk about Twitter. I don't know where the bottom is there either. It no longer exists as a publicly traded company. In fact, it no longer exists as a company called Twitter at all. Elon Musk moved his entity into his privately held X Corp, and he opened up on his experience buying and running Twitter in an interview with the BBC. In it, he said running Twitter has been, quote, quite painful and a roller coaster, admitting that he only went through with his Twitter purchase because, well, a judge was about to make him. Still, Musk made it clear early on that buying Twitter is an accelerant to his original X.com vision. When asked about the company's finances, Musk told the BBC that since taking over in late October, Twitter is now roughly breaking even. He acknowledged glitches, including outages on the site, noting that they haven't lasted very long and that the site currently works. And more importantly, Musk says Twitter could be cash flow positive this quarter if things keep going well. He told the BBC almost all advertisers have come back or said they're going to come back. Of course, it's a privately traded company, so we don't know if that's actually what's happening.
And to what volume the advertisers that have left have come back as well. It's one thing to say that all advertisers have come back. It's another thing for an advertiser to diminish the amount of spend that they're putting forth on the platform. And of course, that could have some correlation to the amount of advertising spending that has been pulled back, whether digitally, out of home, or in, quite frankly, any capacity, as a lot of corporations are just trying to figure out, all right, what our actual marketing spend needs to look like, even as we're restructuring some of our internal costs. But for Elon Musk and how this shell company X is going to move forward, there's been so much focus around where X would have kind of this umbrella over top of all of the Elon Musk touching entities, and if that would actually be the company that perhaps doesn't get publicly traded. I mean, he's already talked about how he doesn't like running publicly traded companies, saying in the past that if he could take Twitter private again, he would, or not Twitter, Tesla private again, and even teased and then got into trouble about trying to take Tesla private. There's been, of course, all of the hullabaloo surrounding Elon Musk and wanting to have privately held companies so that he could have more freedom and less of the fiduciary duty to investors or shareholders at the end of the day. But at the same time, if you did have X as a holding company for all of this, I think the larger question is, how do each of these entities become overlapping or touching at one point or another? And that's where I think for anybody who is just on Twitter and is trying to figure out, all right, what is the future specifically for Twitter and either where I get news or where I engage with friends or where I keep my influence or livelihood, what does that look like in the future? And I think Elon still has left people on the end of their chairs unanswered questions in this near-term period of time.
Yeah, something else he talked about in the interview was the idea of paid verifications, Twitter Blue, paying for the blue check marks, and he said he doesn't see any social network surviving without paid verification. We should mention this news comes as NPR, National Public Radio, said it is taking a break from Twitter, suspending its account on Twitter after a dispute with the platform over how NPR was labeled, whether it was a government-sponsored news source or not. NPR says it gets government funding, but it is not. It is an independent news organization. So interesting there that happening right after the interview.
Right. New York Times essentially got the same labeling there. So it's a question of now, okay, we have to go. But is it what Elon Musk deems kind of verifiable information, the information that he likes versus what he doesn't? Anyway, coming up.